Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. As we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, as we got finished with a D&D session. Which group? It's group 2. And it's been an interesting one because this is sort of Act 1 is not like completely over, but I'm sort of laying down the seeds of things which could lead into Act 2. I was laying down as many scenes as I could, and they also leveled up. And also I was taught of, not taught, well, I mean, I guess taught, but it's probably the wrong way to put it, taught of this really cool invocation, warlock invocation, which I was not aware of as a thing, but anyway. Good evening, everyone, and now in Fawnhallow, it's 11:08 PM on Monday, June 3rd, 2024. It's actually very interesting. I guess we can have a look behind the scenes, I suppose, of what's going on in the D&D session this time, because there's probably not too much spoilery stuff. They exited the temple, and it was brought up later that there was stuff that they hadn't read on the temple, but they got like a way to comprehend languages from the world, but then they just left. So I was like, okay, whatever. and it wasn't like, it's not like the biggest deal in the world or anything. Again, you know, you often as a DM you should leave out tons and tons of things for them to possibly interact with, because there's a decent chance that a lot of them they'll skip by, a lot of them they're not interested in, etc, etc. So I was just like, okay, fair enough. If you didn't want to read the rest of it, so be it. But it was brought up later again, and then they basically exited into a mine shaft, which I can't say too much more about, to be perfectly honest. But it's not like a huge like lore bomb or anything like that. But you know, it has more than a reason of just being necessarily a random mine shaft, but there's not like that much lore behind it, of course. And then they ran one of the characters, well actually two of the characters got more story, like personal character progress points. One of them through a dream, which sort of just it's weird because I'm trying to be watching Dimension 20 has certainly made me reflected a bit more on the DMing thing, where, you know, I think Brennan tries to be like pretty transparent at the same time. He does the DMing, because I feel like a thing that I do suffer from is that I'm trying to like gauge how much information to give, which can mean that I end up not giving information which they might need to solve a puzzle, because it's very hard, I suppose, when you're a player to just be like, okay, here's like an open sandbox, do literally anything to solve this puzzle. But as a DM, like if you have like a certain solution, if you certain information in mind, you actually have to like actively describe it, which kind of feels like it's taking away from the mystery, taking away from the investigation thing, part of it. Because part of me kind of wants my players to start asking about random other things. They'd be like, oh, is there anything like this here? Is there anything like this? Can I think about this? Etc, etc. But it's often hard to like do that completely unprompted, isn't it? So this time I tried to be a bit more transparent about things. I tried to describe things much more discreetly, in a way which they can further investigate if they think it's significant, or if they don't think it's significant. It's up to them. Another thing Brennan does is also for very like climactic important moments, you'd be like, you need to beat this DC, which I think is cool in the sense that while it does sort of break down the meta, the fourth wall, the meta narrative, overarching narrative of it a little bit, it also I think gives it a bit more transparency. Like it ups the stakes, and now the players are like, okay, now I know what I have to get to be able to beat this, and this could hinge on a really huge thing happening or not happening. So yeah, that did happen at one point, which I guess I'll get onto. But basically, one of my players' characters ran into someone from their past. Now this is not someone that they created with me. This is someone I created for them, but they would know roughly of their existence, to be honest. They don't know this exact character on a meta level sense, but they know of potentially the role this character might play. And basically this character was heck bent on getting vengeance on them for some much more ambiguous reason. And honestly, this entire thing was just meant to be a sort of like spark of hey, something is going on here. This could be like a driving point forward of the next act. It doesn't have to be, because again, there's multiple sort of fishing hooks you lay down as a DM to be like, hey, these are things which you can bite onto to try and investigate further. And this is just one of them. My plan with that eventual character is basically they were this character is a warlock. This rival character is another warlock, who I can't reveal too much, but I can reveal, I suppose if you want no spoilers, if you're part of this D&D session, then you can go ahead and tune out now. But basically this warlock is also under the same patron as this initial warlock, and it's sort of like a weird, not like a vibe, maybe like a vibe for control, maybe that's how I'd describe it, but like it's sort of like a vibe for vengeance, because in the enemy's words, the player character is favoured in a sense. They don't know the exact details yet, but anyway, this character was meant to come in. It was meant to sort of spark this like weird discussion about it, to be honest. And in my mind, how it was going to play out was this character was going to die, probably was going to die, and then the player character will get a boon from it. And then it becomes an interesting thing, like submitting more to the pact gives you more power. Is that something that the character would chase or would not chase? I don't know. That's like where the sort of, I mean, that's why like warlocks are such interesting classes in the first place, is they have this sort of inherent dynamic built into their backstory. You know, they can sacrifice parts of, you know, themselves or whatever to be more powerful in a sense. Like that's built into literally what the character is, which can make some very interesting moments, I think. But the character actually didn't die. So this character basically mechanically was self-destructive. They had like a lot of fire spells, and they were a bit higher level than the party. This character was 6 levels, level 6, sorry, while the party was level 4. There's 3 of them. But this character did not have like much in the way of strategy or tactics. This character was still reasonably squishy, to be perfectly honest, and I gave this character a mechanic where they would basically self-immolating. Every time they cast a spell, they took damage from it, including cantrips. So basically they would slowly accrue damage themselves, and this character had almost no desire or want for self-preservation, in the sense that as long as this player character also died, which led to a point of this, the player character turning invisible from an item got before. And then I didn't know the rules of invisibility, but apparently being invisible does not allow you to hide as well, because you can still be detected by your movement and stuff like that, unless you stand like perfectly still or something. You had to actively take the hide action. What invisibility does, it means you can take the hide action anywhere because you are invisible, which I was like, oh, okay, I didn't actually realise that's how it worked. That's actually kind of cool. So it means that like characters can still try and detect them, but of course they can't see them, so they had disadvantage on targeting. But this enemy character had Fireball, and I was just like thinking to myself, like, how unhinged should this character be? And then I got them to roll a d100, and I was like, if this is low enough, this character has lost all like sense of sanity, and they rolled like a 16 on d100. I was like, okay, this character has lost it, and they fireballed themselves to try and catch the rival player character in the explosion as well. Which ended up downing both of them and almost nearly killing the player character. It was so close to killing the player character. It was like literally 2 health off, because there's a rule in D&D that if you get taken to 0, any rollover damage, if it also would do, if a rollover damage is equal or more than your max HP, you insta die. No saving throws, and it was almost enough. He rolled decently high on the thing. He had like 28 damage, I think, in the fireball, 86. So it's a little bit higher than average, not like an insane amount more. And if that character did 2 more damage, that player character would have instantly died, which is a scary thought. But I thought it was like a great roleplay opportunity as well, because of course the character knows for sure, or the player knows for sure they're going to be downed from it, and the character will probably know that they will also be down from it. But you know, there's this mechanic at play here where the patron will offer things like bargains essentially, in return for favours, because, you know, warlock, that sort of thing. And amazingly, there was the way I'm doing it is I'm doing a charisma saving throws, and every time the person refuses the player refuses a patron, the DC goes up and up and up, and basically they refuse during mid battle, which really annoyed the patron, to be perfectly honest. But the patron basically offered being like, I'll make this problem go away if you just do something for me. And then they managed to resist, so they got downed, and I was like, whoa, okay. Playing with fire here, quite literally. The player almost died because they got natural 1 on their death saving throws, but, you know, managed to get revived in time. or brought back stability. And then there was one final shot where I was just like, okay, I think the patron would do this. The patron would like ask a player to murder this enemy warlock for reasons I can't disclose at the moment, to be perfectly honest. And they resisted. It was a DC 22 charisma saving throw, and they rolled like a 24 or something. And I was like, all right, well, fair enough. Rules are rules. If you pass a DC, you should of course be rewarded for it. I'm not going to like retroactively be like, oh, that was actually DC 26. Oh, sorry, you had to get a natural 20 to resist it. And that's why, like, what I find interesting about Brennan's sort of style, that like at those climactic moments, he goes, okay, you need to beat this for this to happen, because then I think it ups the stakes, ups the tensions, where they now know, is it going to be a success or failure? And rather than from me slowly revealing it through a description, it allows, I suppose it allows a bit more participation, rather than rolling a dice. And they can immediately get the answer rather than rolling the dice and being like, what does that mean? You know? Because that's where you want the tension, the payoff to be, is from seeing the result of the dice, right? In my opinion. So that's why I think it ends up working pretty well. But the character he the character he resisted and managed to not murder this enemy, and I was like, okay, I fully did not expect this to happen. I knew it was a possibility, but I thought it would be a really unlikely possibility, because quite a lot of things have to go in a certain direction. Like, we had to actually be able to knock this character out almost exactly, etc, etc, etc. They had to be able to spare, they had to resist like all these things of opportunities for them to die, they had to not like get wiped in the first place, etc, etc, etc. But but the players should be rewarded. They managed to save the enemy character, so now we'll just have to see what happens next time. They put in the effort, get rewarded, they'll get some lore drops, they'll get questions that they can ask and answers from them. Maybe not everything, of course, but I find it very fascinating, to be honest. It's cool when the players surprise you, I suppose, like that. But yeah, watching Dimension 20 is very fun, and it's cool to see, I suppose, Brennan's different style, and as I say, much more sort of like loosey-goosey style, which lends to a very different style of DMing, I think, but it's something that I can certainly learn from. So which is why I'm kind of like having fun watching it, being like, what things can I take on this sort of transparency behind things, etc, etc. I mean, transparency in general is a good thing to have. I don't think you should, I mean, it's up to you, I suppose, as a D&D player, if your DM should be like fully transparent, like, or fully opaque. Like, fully transparent meaning that you see all their rolls, they roll everything in public, which to some things I think can be good. And like, again, at climactic moments, I've started doing it where I've been like, okay, I'm gonna roll this in public, this needs to be this for this to happen, and then they can have like be a part of that tension as well. But something should be in secret, where players shouldn't know exactly what this means. Does this mean XYZ happens? Does this mean ABC happens? Who knows? Sorry, I'm just putting some hand cream on at the same time, and I think that's what makes it fascinating at the same time. No, the sort of questions of what does this mean, what does that mean, etc, etc. But some things are just like, you find out basically what the response is immediately, so you might as well say this is what the DC needed is for this, right? But things which you don't need the answer immediately, or like it's not sorry, just in the curtains, not immediately apparent what the effect is, that should be something which is a hidden role, in my opinion. So it's been exciting, I suppose, to see that, and they're leveling up, level 5, this is going to be the final level before the end of Act 1, in my opinion, so we'll just sort of see what that means. Yes, as I'm going to make a thumbnail art, I suppose, at the same time. I don't know if I can draw the thumbnail art and finish it. I'm going to try and finish the thumbnail art. No, I'm not sure if I'll finish it today, but at least get decent progress done, like before the holiday, because I need to record some Happy Home Paradise as well, just some rapid fire episodes. Let's choose the brush color. Let's choose this light blue. 532. There's like no space anymore to draw anything on here, but I'll put see-through, but in dotted lines. No, let's put be clear, but via dots. Which ironically is a very unclear way to write this, but still. What else happening? I'm excited because the Game Changer finale will be today, and I'm interested to see what it is. I've heard it's basically the circle, which is sort of like people pretend to be other people as a reality TV show. I don't really know how it's going to translate, but I'm fascinated to see it nonetheless. That's going up at midnight, so I'm going to record 2 Happy and Paradises, and then I guess I'll draw while watching that show. Oh yeah, hold on, we haven't done Neopets as well. Oh, I forgot to write a ticket to be like, hey, what on earth is my password? I don't even remember if I did the quest yesterday, to be perfectly honest, but we'll see. Interesting. That story, by the way. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. I suppose if you're the person who just sent me that message. But you know, that's an interesting mirroring. I mean, it's an interesting plot point. They basically, I mean, I suppose if you know, you know. The plot point I described is apparently mirrored in a reasonably popular online animated show nowadays, which I didn't know because I have not seen this one. And I haven't seen many of the shows, to be honest, but at some point I should. That was not intentional, obviously, because I didn't know that. I didn't know that's what the story was, but I think that's kind of cool. We'll have to see how that pans out. Neopets is also not loading for me right now. Oh, here we go. Should we try and log into Neopets once again using my password? I'm pretty sure is my password, but apparently it's not my password. What else could be my password? I don't know. Anyway, I should round this episode off here. I'm not doing anything. And then I'm going to record some Happy in Paradise. So if you haven't been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Bye-bye for now.